Amaze by Adelaide Crapsey, 1878 to 1914. I know not these my hands, and yet I think there was a woman like me once had hands like these. And that's it. Okay, this is a poem by Adelaide Crapsey. She was born in New York and raised in Rochester, upstate New York. Let's see. Her mother was a businesswoman and her father was an Episcopal priest. Now, the story of her father is quite amazing. He was defrocked for heresy. So they kicked him out of the church and stopped him being a priest because he refused to do effectively what the church said. Yeah, he refused to agree with the dogma of the church. Okay, Adelaide, let's see. She is known as the inventor of the Cinquain. Yeah, the Cinquain, it's a poem with 5 lines, like this. And the first line has 2 syllables, I know. The second line has 4 syllables, not these my hands. The third line has 6 syllables, and yet I think there was. And the fourth line has 8 syllables. A woman like me once had hands, 8 syllables. And then the last line has 2 syllables again. And this is called a cinquain. And in my opinion, this cinquain is the European answer to the Japanese haiku. Yeah? Okay, a haiku is a type of Japanese poem where the number of syllables or the number of morai it depends how many there are in each line. Okay, so I think what she said about this cinquain is it's building up and it's building up and it builds up, and then there's a quick punchline. So this is a cinquain, and she is the inventor of the cinquain. Okay, she travelled quite extensively, particularly in Europe, but unfortunately she contracted tuberculosis and she died in her mid-30s. Okay, so Amaze. Amazing, or is it a maze? A complicated thing. So she says, I know not these my hands. Okay, so she's saying, I don't know these hands. I don't know them. So she's saying she doesn't know her hands. And yet, however, I think there was a woman like me once had hands like these. Okay, so she's saying that she doesn't recognize her hands. And then she thinks, but now that I think about it, I remember a woman like me who once had hands that were similar to these. So you can interpret this in various ways. Firstly, you can look at it and say that she is getting old, that her hands, she doesn't remember her hands. Yeah, her hands have changed. Yeah, and she has changed with time. So there was a woman like me, but not me, a younger version of me, who once had hands like these. But I think you can then take this to the next level as well and say, Or maybe she's remembering when she was in the presence of an older person, maybe in the presence of her mother, and she's looking at her hands, and she now sees them not as the little girl's hands she had many years earlier, but now as her mother's hands. And I think this Cinquain is talking about life and getting old and the cycle of life, and her hands are changing, her body is changing as she goes through the different periods of life, and in each part of her life the hands do the thing that's appropriate. So when you're a young child, you play, you learn, you go to school with your hands. Yeah. Then as you get older, your responsibilities change, and again when you get old, your responsibilities change again. And I think she's looking at her hands, and she's thinking about the hands of the generations that came before her. And I think this is the idea. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. Amaze by Adelaide Crapsey.